It's all over.
What up, what's cracking, what's poppin'? You are officially tuned into AllOva Radio. And as always, it's all over all until everything falls. It's your boy Loudmouth, down south drafted, west coast crafted. And I'm pleased to present to you the top dog of this all-over movement, Caution 700.
What's the deal? What's good, everybody?
What's happening? And the man, the myth, the Agtown legend to my left-hand side, B. Clark.
What is the deal, King Clark? What is the deal?
Oh yes, we back at it again. Indeed. And if you didn't know, AllOva Radio is broadcasting to you straight from that TX player on the north side of the Triple D, DALLAS. Yes, that's Dallas, Texas, Maine. And our mission is to give you the topics you want and the 411 you need. AllOva Radio is curated for you by Black Kings, for our Black Kings and our lovely queens, and of course, for anyone interested in Black culture and subjects that concern Black people everywhere and all over.
It's all over.
We'll discuss what's trending in current events and on social media, talk politics from a Black perspective, highlight phenomenal creative artists that inspire, and we'll give props to organizations and individuals that are making an impact in their communities all over the United States.
It's all over.
For sure. Well, gentlemen, let's wade in the waters of current events and see what has everyone on social media talking. We hope you're ready for a little segment we like to call Socially Influenced.
For a subject today, excuse me, I am under the influence.
What is the deal, people? It is your boy B. Clark.
It's all over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is all over. And I have a few trending topics that's been going on in the world today. So I hope you guys are ready to put your 2 cents in,
What
3
you got,
cents
Clark?
in.
What you got?
Social media madness.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So first and foremost, it was over the holiday weekend we had this the NFAC
Oh, yeah.
coalition militia, however you want to put it, or however you play them.
Tell them what the name means.
Hold on.
Okay, NFAC stands for Not Fucking Around Coalition.
This is, for those that don't know, this is not a PG show.
No, sir,
So
not at
there
all.
will be no bleeps. The Not Fucking Around Coalition, what is that?
Not Fucking Around Coalition. So these brothers and sisters, if I might add, all took a march up to Stone Mountain Park, pretty much the birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan, shall you say.
Confederate Klan.
There you go. With the intention on getting a few statues and monuments taken down of Thomas Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, and President Jefferson Davis.
Good old Robert E. Lee. Boy.
Yes, sir. He's popping up everywhere. He's getting
That name
snatched
right
down.
there is synonymous.
Technically getting snatched from
Yeah.
everywhere. But pretty much I got a little thing from the NFAC founder, Grandmaster J.
Yeah.
Grandmaster J.
Grandmaster J.
You got the hip hop names, 1980s, boy.
Fill us in, Grandmaster. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Kept it a whole buck.
Don't
He
push
said
me.
the group is 100% black and not affiliated with Black Lives Matter. We're a black militia. We are not protesters. We are not demonstrators. We do not come to sing. We do not come to chant. That's not what we do, he said. Our initial goal was to have a formation of a militia at Stone Mountain to send a message that as long as you're abolishing all these statues across the country, what about this one? Pretty much pointing out what the statues I just said. So
Yeah.
He went out there on some shit.
he went out there. They went out there probably 200 to 300, or I don't remember the numbers exactly, but they went out there
They was
strong
deep. If you
with.
seen the pictures,
You
they
seen
was
the
deep.
videos?
Yeah, you seen the videos with
Bro.
assault rifles, shotguns, pistols, dressed in black, as hot as it was. But they were safe though. Kept it peaceful. They had masks on, kept their distance, and
I saw somebody put up a post that was kind of like on the other side of it, like the anti side of it, and was just kind of talking about how that, type of exposure would like
Right.
cause some people to lose their gun licenses because of the different laws and rules, and it just was a whole mess. And they seemed pretty peaceful to me though. They didn't seem like they were out there just shooting in the air like
You know,
what I mean?
I just wonder, why have we not heard about the NFAC
I know, how did
before
I
this
miss
day?
that?
Like,
That is
where
wild,
have
bro.
they been? Like, I haven't seen no commercials. I haven't seen them on social media. It's like all of a sudden 300 You know what I'm saying? Black brothers and sisters with assault rifles,
Creative ones too,
pistols,
and clips, bro. They had ammunition,
bro.
clips, everything.
Call of Duty guns,
bro. Like that was
ready for whatever.
It's kind of strange though. I mean, I don't know. What happens if like the white militia then one day goes and meets them out there like that?
They did with the tiki torches. That was it. We saw it.
That was it, yeah.
Where was the end? Where was the end?
That's what I want to know.
Where was the
That's
end
the
for
question.
AC?
Where was y'all at right then and there?
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. It was interesting.
I've noticed a lot of brothers showing up lately, like the incident that just happened with the young lady that was out protesting, and the white guys came out trying to intimidate them with their guns out and all that. So the brothers came up there with their guns out.
Word.
So I've seen little stuff like that happening, but I want it to happen, like you said, in those instances where y'all out here with your tiki torches and your Tommy Bahama shorts, mobbing around. Picking. I want to see the NFAC out there. So shout out to y'all for doing that. But like, come, let's see y'all out here where it really matters. Not to judge. This is not a judgment. Y'all do y'all thing, because people take
I don't want
stuff
no
the wrong
smoke
way.
with the NFAC.
Not at all. Y'all brothers got it.
I haven't read their backstory.
Y'all
so
show up
too
in
much,
Texas
but,
somewhere. I'm out there with y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Bring whatever little thing I got. You know what I'm saying, to represent.
Exactly.
But that was cool though. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've seen the video, check that out. And next topic I know both of y'all guys are sports fans. And y'all are pretty much old as I am. This has been going on for a long time with the Washington, I'm not even going to call their name, the Washington football team they have out there.
Okay.
They're about their name being racist, degrading, disrespectful, and it goes along with they're forced to get their name changed with all their major sponsors backing out. And now it puts the pressure on Daniel Snyder to get his foot on the ball and change it. Now all of a sudden, what's funny to me is now all of a sudden you want to change it, but there's evidence in the past where he's since said, "I'm not changing the damn logo."
No, he said that like this week, didn't he?
Yeah, he said it.
His quote was bold.
Yeah, like he said it before, but now all of a sudden when your money gets funny, now you want to change it. So y'all being sports fans, how do y'all?
What I thought was interesting where there was like two minority owners of the team. I think they said there was three. It wasn't two; it was three of them. They own probably about 40% of the team. So it's not like enough to really shake the table, but it's enough to where you can do it. You
got a voice,
right? So they were trying to force him to sell the team. That was the last thing I seen about that, which would be interesting. I don't know if football works like basketball. Get him out of there like Donald Sterling. But
Man,
well, they did with old boy in Carolina though.
Right, they did force him to sell his team too. So I mean, even if he doesn't, I think the name is it's offensive, and if they're telling you that it's offensive, and in this day and age, I mean, you have to consider it.
Yeah, come on now, it's 2020.
Right.
So I actually saw one of your posts, Caution, where you had put up some of the alternative options, and they had the Washington Red Wings. That was player, like the uniforms.
Red Tails?
The Red Tails. Yeah. It was the Red
from
Tails.
the
That's right.
Yes,
that was super clean.
Yeah, that was the best one I saw.
I liked that. I liked that,
that
especially too because DC, that area, that DMC kind of area with Washington and Baltimore is kind of a chocolate city kind of area, right? So the Red Tails would make sense, for that football team.
I
like
all know how that's gonna go though.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and
One can
even
only hope.
what I like is the color scheme didn't change.
It didn't.
No, not at all. Yeah, it was fly as hell. I thought it was too.
Yeah, so
but like I said, we know how that's gonna go right there.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. I guess we'll see, man. The money rules the day in America, right?
Yeah. To add on with that, though, how do y'all feel about what some of the other Native American names in sports, like as the Cleveland Indians, the Warriors, the Blackhawks, the Chiefs, they're calling for those to change.
They're
too.
all listen to the theme of all those names. It's
That's
all
what I'm saying.
Indians.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like not only did we come over here and dominate you, but we're going to steal your name and use it for your likeness as well. So we're going to use the Indian. They all use the Indian head in some form, or
some type of
an
headdress
arrow with the feather on it, or they all do. So I don't know what the exaggeration with that is. Why do they have to keep using them? But I don't know.
Well, the Indians one, that one to me, to be honest, I think is more offensive than the Redskins one.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you look at the depiction of the Indian, it looks like Sambo in relation to black characterization of us looking with big lips and stuff like the Indian is looking all crazy with the Cleveland Indians. So to me, people should be, if they're going to be outraged, why are they not equally as outraged about the Cleveland Indians? The Chiefs doesn't really bother me because at least a chief is a position of authority. You know what I'm saying? So, Kansas City Chiefs, like they've got the arrowhead, that's a symbol of war, and dominance. And if you know anything about like the Comanche Indians, man, they ran things, man. Like they had to do really crazy, wild stuff to get the Comanches up off of them. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like they were like pushovers. So the Chiefs doesn't bother me as much as like the Cleveland Indians and the Redskins.
Yeah. I feel you on that, my brother. That's a good topic. I appreciate your 2 cents. Oh, another thing I want to get into is a few comments we've been getting, fellas. A few comments.
We got some comments. We got some.
Sir.
The AllOva radio page is popping on Facebook.
One episode posted, and we love all y'all. We do appreciate all your feedback, and yes, we do respond. So
Every one of them.
yeah, yeah. Every comment you put it in there,
None of you
they're
niggas.
responding. So please believe it. If you put something there, we will have our 2 cents.
Respectfully
in.
though, it's usually lighthearted,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
You don't take none of that.
We're not coming in there
serious.
blazing guns. We're coming
Right.
in there talking. You want to see
Absolutely.
our point of view. That's
Engage
it.
with us. Holla at us.
Yeah, what's some of them? Please fill me in. Please.
Yeah, get into it.
First one is pretty much a big up to us from Mr. Peter Cicerone. Forgive me for if I mispronounced
Cicerone.
wrong.
He sound, you know,
Cicerone.
mafia.
Cicerone.
Yeah,
I apologize,
Soprano.
my brother, if I
Peter
pronounced that wrong.
There it is.
He states in his comment, he says, "You have a choice, America. Either you can believe these guys or the MSN polls. I believe these guys."
Yeah, shout out to you, my brother.
Shout out to Peter.
Appreciate you, Pete.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Pete.
You're a real one.
And next comment we got is Norman James.
My boy Norman.
Papatola.
I'm
Papatola.
destroying the
Norman
names.
James
Norman.
Papatola.
It's not Norman with an N at the end. It's Norman,
Norman,
which makes it all better.
I apologize. I butchered his name. And this was referring to the no spending on the
Blackout Coalition.
Yes,
7-7.
sir.
Yeah.
He says, "I'm shopping that day. I don't play with crybabies."
Norman, we apologize. We didn't mean to be crybabies, but guess what? You can spend all you want because
Yeah.
you are an Anglo-Saxon
It
male.
wasn't about
And
you.
it wasn't.
It wasn't
The day
about
wasn't
you.
about you, Norman. I don't even know if you watched the video, but it's
Yeah.
okay. Thanks for participating.
Read the title and went
All
with
engagement is good engagement,
Yes.
people. That's the point we want to push. Okay?
Yes.
Comment, like, and share. It doesn't matter if you
Absolutely.
feel adverse about it or not.
it. Yes. And then on another referring to the same post, Steve Kelly. "So you're saying that they'll just shoplift that day instead?"
Oh,
First of all, who is they?
Who is
Listen,
that?
and
that
you
you
what's
refer
his
to,
name?
big man?
Steve Kelly. I was the one that replied to you and asked,
Oh.
who is the they that you're referring to? You haven't answered me yet. So
Yeah.
make sure you follow up with your comments, man. Don't
Yeah.
just hide and, duck your tail
We're
afterwards.
just gonna shoplift instead.
Big man, Twitter gangster.
Right.
Twitter gangster. How you
Let's talk
feel
about
about that? And then we have this last beautiful comment from Mary Schmoot.
Smoot.
Shout out to Miss Smoot.
"Sad I can't use the black pen anymore. It has to be white out. Going too far, people. No, Mary, you're going too far.
What is Mary talking?
No, Mary, you're going too
Tell her
far.
again. You're going too far, Miss Smoot. But
No,
what
Mary. Let me look you right here.
only
You're going
Smoot
too
we
far.
acknowledge is Fred. Get out of here, man. I got
you go.
time for that.
That comment, I think I responded to that one.
You did.
It was so funny that I was like, if that's what you understood, that's
what you got from
all
me,
right,
yeah.
Mary, I guess you have a great day.
I think you know what I think a lot of them too are because we have so much content that when they go to comment, I feel like they may have watched a little bit of one video
Right.
because they comment on other videos. They comment on the wrong video sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, wait, did you even watch this video? Or are you
Yeah.
watching the same one?
Where are you coming
like
from?
some lady commented and was like, yes, it was the Black Independence one, and she was like, so what role is the black man supposed to play? Black women have been carrying y'all for all these years, and I was just like, lady, that's not. What are we talking about? Like we was talking about being independent as way over my head. So make sure you watch the videos before
Yeah.
you get upset
People
and
just
comment
read
on
the
them.
titles, man.
That's what it
like,
is.
Seriously,
Right,
I actually
with
called somebody on it. I said, it was the post was posted in another political group, and somebody commented on it. And they made a comment that made no sense. And I said, did you watch the video?
Right.
And at least the lady, I forgot her name was Dawn, I think. She said guilty. And I laughed. I was like, okay, you know what? Respect.
We appreciate your honesty, Don.
Much respect.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, don't do that, Don. Make sure you watch the
Yeah.
video next
Yeah.
time. And we had a laugh. So that was kind of cool. But really, people are not. They just read the headlines
And run
they
with it.
automatically just have
Right.
something they want to say. It's
They
like,
know it.
yeah, be
But
educated.
it's
in
dope
comment.
that y'all, like I said, any engagement is good engagement,
We
and
love it. We love it.
we are not above any criticism that you may have. You can be opinionated, but just know that we like to respond from time to time. I
it
don't always
respectful.
got something going on. So
Yeah,
I got some days
absolutely.
I got time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep it respectful,
Today,
please.
Today I got time.
Right.
Keep it respectful, please.
All right, well, Clark, thank you for that socially influence.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That
sir.
is going to lead us right into the world of American politics, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Absolutely. Politics as usual. Today in American politics, Kanye West is the new presidential hopeful.
Oh, we gotta get a hand clap.
Hey, easy. 2020.
Clap for my guy.
Is it real? Is the stunt? Should we believe in Ye's 2020 vision? And what's up with the two-party system anyway? Are there really no other options to choose from, people? But first of all, let's talk about Kanye West for president. What y'all think about Ye 2020?
Easy 2020.
What y'all think about Ye 2020, y'all?
My first opinion was that he's trying to split the votes. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought.
I've seen that.
But see, I feel that because why all of a sudden is he coming out saying how he doesn't support Trump anymore?
Word.
And that because you have to run against him, of course. But what other? I mean, he can't think that he's going to win it. So I feel like this is all a ploy between them two. Like it's a smart one because there's people that believe in it. Like there's just people that's itching at the brim to like talk and argue about how Kanye could do better than Trump. So I think I think they're in cahoots. You know what I'm saying?
You think so? Okay, so
I don't put it past them.
Right.
let's say that's the case, right? What would be the benefit for Kanye West to do that?
The same benefit that he had from supporting him in the first place, just to keep his name. He also has an album about to come out.
Exactly.
It didn't already come out?
He has two. I know he dropped 2 singles.
Yeah.
Whatever the songs was, but like, so I feel it's too coincidental for me. You got the album, you got the presidential speak. You know what I'm saying, and then all of a sudden, now I'm hearing about I just posted earlier about how he's suffering a bipolar attack or something's going on with him. An episode is going on, and so like they concerned about him and all that. So I don't know, man. Like I say, politics it gets confusing to me because they can play these kind of games with the gullible. So I don't know.
Yeah, man. It obviously looks like a stunt from my perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, let's just avoid any of the foolishness. He hasn't even taken the steps, and for some of the things, it's too late. For example, so that we can educate everyone on this kind of political process, he hasn't even filed his paperwork with the Federal Election Commission. Okay?
Did you hear what he said he was going to use as his excuse for that?
What?
The coronavirus. So he was going to use that. I swear, in the interview that they have with him, I swear to you, he said that that's going to be his excuse for not making it in time.
Okay, well, sure, I guess he hasn't built a campaign operation either. All right, and he also, too, in order to file as an independent candidate in several of the big state ballots, the deadline's already passed.
Yes.
Texas, Indiana, New Mexico, North Carolina, and while they are fast approaching in 9 other states, including Florida and New York, July 15th in Florida and July 30th in New York. So, I mean, he's out of the running at all, not to mention because of those upcoming deadlines, he may not even qualify because you have to have I think like 15% of the national vote to even qualify for debates. So I don't even know where we're gonna hear from him other than his social media pages.
This is why I feel like it's a hoax, bro. I feel like that's what it's about. Then his campaign manager is his wife, so
exactly.
take that with a grain of salt, aka Miss Prison Reform herself. So
you know what though? Shout out to Kim Kardashian though. She has got some folks out of prison. That is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? So you can say what you want. I don't want to get it. I don't watch her content. I don't want to get into that woman's business, and that's that man's wife, so I'm not going to speak on that. But what I will say, anyone that took real tangible steps to get people out of prison who didn't deserve to be there earns my vote of respect just for that action unto itself.
Yeah, she did that, for real.
That's his campaign manager, so that tells you how serious he's taking it.
Yeah, so I don't think that it's serious. I don't think there's really much to even talk about here. I think that in the world of social media, when you have millions of people that follow you, things are going to trend very quickly when you tweet something out. And so, in the same way that I think, to be quite honest, I think that Donald Trump was pulling a stunt until he got in there and figured out that maybe I could do something. And maybe, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but in this situation, at least he started with ample time and he actually put people in place to make something happen. I don't think Mr. West is doing that.
No, he said his running partner is Joel Osteen.
Joel Osteen? No, that's not real.
Okay.
That's what Yeezy said?
That's not real.
But then you see, you got Elon Musk.
Endorsed
I'm right with you.
Listen, bro, it's
my full support.
This is weird stuff, man. I don't even know. Like
2020 is the year for it. I'm just waiting on the aliens.
Just wait.
Boy.
That's all I'm waiting on. Come on already.
Say that for December. You think it's Santa Claus.
There are some that say Elon Musk is an alien.
Probably.
Have you heard those conspiracy theories?
I mean, out here killing every which way. I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, so maybe Elon is giving Kanye some alien gems that we don't know about.
It's
but
a Kanye clone.
Yeah,
Kanye clone.
The white version. Oh my gosh. Well, I think for me, gentlemen, though, this kind of leads us to what we see. The reason why Kanye West is even talked about is because everyone, I think, can agree that for the most part, we're not satisfied with the two individuals that we have as options.
Yeah.
And it's not just in this election cycle. It's been like that for several election cycles where we continue to go down this lesser of two evil paths where we have to pick this one or that one. It's like I feel like I'm in an old Black Sheep record, like just on repeat over and over. You can get with this or you can get with that. And my problem is that in America, why is it this way in the first place? Why do we only have two parties? Why don't we have more options? This two-party system, to me, is rigged to keep us polarized and to keep the power within two groups of individuals. And I think that we have to raise this question of perhaps the problem that we're seeing over and over again is that this system is no longer working. So why don't we think of ways to change it? So that's kind of my thought. I wanted to kind of get y'all's thoughts about that too, and just kind of discuss, like, are there other options and what those options are?
I mean, you can always be an independent, but I don't really know. I don't know how that lines up when it's time for the voting to go down, because we never really even hear about them. They don't make a dent in the election at all, which is why for certain, Black people in general, if you don't know a lot about politics, I know for me growing up, I only thought it was two parties because I would only see those two candidates when it was time. I really didn't even know back in the day that you could vote for your local officials. Like, it took me a while to even realize that. So I don't know. I don't know what's the use of it. Like, what difference would it make if they have it all set up the way they want it to go anyway? So
pretty much, yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. It's all set up a certain way. I don't want to be the conspiracy guy in here, but I just feel like they're going to put who they want in. It's all a sham or something like that.
No, but it is, though. I mean, America is not a real democracy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not. It's a faux democracy. The U.S. political system is set up for two major parties. That's it. Because it's awarding seats to Congress and the presidency with a winner take all. That's what the Electoral College is about. So they don't want any more parties than that. There's a quote that from people are going to be upset when I say this, but I obviously, since I don't have any dog in the fight, I am a spectator looking into the American political party system. Neutral. And I pull quotes from all kinds of people. But I read this, that from a French socialist, Maurice Duverger, theorized in the 1950s that this kind of setup leads to what is effectively a two-party system. Duverger's law states that the third parties can't compete because there is no prize for winning. For example, 15 or even 25% of the vote. This leads voters to choose candidates who are most likely to win, and it leads the parties to try to broaden their appeal to half of the electorate. Right? So it's not even set up for the Libertarian or Independent or the Green Party or the Constitution Party. Those are all parties in America, but unless they win a certain amount of electorates, they don't. It's like all or nothing, right? If we had multiple parties, think about how this would work, right? So we are forced to kind of choose one or the other, and you have to put all of these things on a broad platform we don't agree on. For example, in America, Donald Trump and the voters that like him, really, they're not Republicans. They're really American nationalists. Republicans are like Mark Cuban. Okay? Republicans tend to be fiscally conservative. They're sensible. They're morally conservative, right? They're not radical in nature, and they're not bombastic to ideological beliefs. That's a nationalist position. Okay, so in America, we should have an American National Party. We should have a Republican Party. We should have a Democrat Party. We should have a Black Panther Party. We should have a Libertarian Party. And based off where you live, you should be able to put a party candidate that represents your people and then put them before the House and the Senate. Well, as it is now, you have this 50-50 back and forth, right? But let's say the Senate or the House was broken up into multiple parties. Let's say if it was even, 1/4, 1/6, or 1/8, it would force parties to actually have to do real collaboration because they wouldn't be able to hold the power structure. So America doesn't actually want us to be a democracy. It wants to have the sense of a democracy and the appearance of a democracy without actually having real democratic foundation in place. So, for example, even like in France, when they have an election, like a Macron, he had a party. But there were multiple parties that are bidding for the national election, and they have many different representatives within their parliament.
Right.
We don't have any of that.
Nope.
I don't even know if there's even an independent candidate or a libertarian in the House or Senate. I think Rand Paul is the only one. He's really a Republican, but he ran as an independent within his state, so that because he wanted to steal more of those votes in that state. So to me, this is the problem, man. We have a fake system that pushes us to vote for one candidate or the other, and we really don't want a true democratic process. I guess y'all ain't got no thoughts about that.
Nah, bro, listen, you touched on so much. Like, I feel like any other salt I add is just gonna make the dish bad.
Speak on it. Speak on it. I mean,
You touched on every issue that I
your
had.
name is Loudmouth for a reason.
Right. But I like I told you from the first episode that we shot, like, my belief in politics is about as slim as the sheet of paper that they wrote the Constitution on. So I trust it as far as I could throw it. I like to learn as much as I can, and so I definitely come here for a lot of that, because you have a lot of the knowledge on certain shit that I wouldn't get it nowhere else. But I think you touched on all of it. I don't see why we don't have more parties and more options. Because even right now, that's the biggest argument that I see on social media or just in conversations about politics. Is I don't want to vote for either one of them, and it's just like, well, damn, I wish it was somebody else. But then you get this weirdo coming along like, hey, I want to run as part of I'm running as the birthday party, and I'm like, all right, so I'm done. So I wish it was more options, man. But we'll see how that goes in the future. I don't know, how do you change that though? Yeah,
well, there has to be a change in the electoral college. Like, we have to allow parties to actually have a viable chance to win, states.
I did see there was a change with the electoral party where they have to vote for what was it? They can't vote for a candidate that's outside of their party for whichever one that was.
Well, yeah, they make you run down ticket. Like, even when you go to vote, they almost force you to go across party line to run Republican down a ticket, or else you have to go through each one. So you have to kind of have a knowledge of your local, and regional elected or potential elected officials to be able to. Most people just say, okay, I'm going to go straight ticket, right? And what it forces you to, again, so for example, like, what if you have a person who votes more Democratic, who may be more liberal with certain things, but they don't believe in abortion?
Right.
Well, there's nowhere for them to go. If I say in the Democratic Party that I don't believe in abortion, then Democrats are saying you're a hypocrite. You don't believe in our party platform. It's like, wait a minute. Like, no, okay, so because I don't agree with this principle, you're throwing away everything else that I agree with. Or if I'm a Republican who believes that marijuana should be legalized, okay, or black people's lives are significant, but yet I agree with Republicans on all these economic principles, then now I'm a traitor to your party. Well, perhaps maybe there needs to be multiple parties so that people that are more liberal, maybe with their worldview as it relates to social issues, and more conservative, they're fiscally, they should have a party that represents them. Okay, so now what happens is that you don't have such a broad appeal, and you can winnow it down to, like, this is what we believe. These are our perspectives, and then we go out and we get people that believe like we do, and then we say, okay, this is our representative for our community. And so I think that that's what helps. And to go back to people of old and within the black community, the Black Panther Party, okay, tried very much to do this. And as you know, I'm very much passionate about our people and empowering our people. Even though when on social I was getting killed for the why black people shouldn't vote for Democrats. Maybe I should have asked the question: should black people vote for Democrats? And people wouldn't got so in their feelings.
It was just the title, like we said.
Exactly. And the point of it is to say, let's challenge ourselves to think. But I want to go back to Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale and see what they had to say about why they put together the Black Panther Party. But more importantly, I want to read if you're familiar with their main precepts, essentially their 10-point platform that the Black Panther Party ran on. I think that this speaks to us today for what we need as black people, and this is the reason why we don't find any representation, because nobody is speaking to these things. But they had a 10-point platform. We want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our black community. We want full employment for our people. We want an end to the robbery, okay, by white men from our black community. They later changed it to be nicer. They said we want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of our black in oppressed communities. We want decent housing fit for shelter of human beings. We want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. Whoa. Right. We want education that teaches us to our true history and our role in the present day society. We want all black men to be exempt from military service. We want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people. We want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. Yeah. Okay, come on, man. We want all black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in court by a jury of their peer group of people from their black communities as defined by the Constitution of the United States. We want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace.
Yes, sir.
Lofty goals. But he was speaking towards it. So.
Man.
10-point platform for the Black Panther Party. But you see what happens, though, when you have a 10-point plan. You're able to say, okay, this is what we believe. We're going to rock with this. Yeah. And we're going to put up representatives in the communities where our interests are taken care of and are going to be listened to. And so the Black Panther Party through California had even gone down into L.A. There were Black Panther Party chapters in L.A. until the federal government decided to infiltrate and pump heroin into the Black Panther Party. And, obviously, and then later Huey P. died in Oakland under certain interesting circumstances. But Bobby Steele is still alive today, and he speaks about these issues. But I kind of wanted to read that because I wanted us to, again, to frame our reference around what should we as black people be thinking about politics. And oftentimes, the Democratic Party does not represent the 10-point platform of the Black Panther Party. And we should all be able to agree that Huey P. had our best interest in mind.
Definitely.
Okay?
Yes,
so if I say I don't like the Democratic Party, it's not saying that I like Republicans. It's saying that I like Huey P.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
You see what I'm saying?
There's an alternative.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what are y'all thoughts about the Black Panther Party, man? I mean, do you think that this kind of a party could exist in 2020? That something similar to this could exist?
I have my doubts.
It'll get a strong following, but will it last?
I think that when it comes to the type of activism and the type of involvement in the communities, I think that there's individuals that could spark that. But I feel like if it gets to a point where they're making too much noise out here, or they get shit really shaken, then it's gonna happen the same way it did in the past. Like they have a way of breaking shit down here in America. So if it's not within their plan, however many point plan they have here, then it's not gonna make it. I think that there's a way to do it, but it can't be as militant. They're not going to allow us to be as militant as they was. Like,
so we can't be like the
they want
NFAC?
they want nice niggas. Them niggas, that was cool for a day. Yeah. But give them about a week or two of that, or making this your permanent occupation. This is what you do every day. Those are the type of individuals who we don't see as much of anymore. People who dedicate their entire lives to that. Movement, so I mean, it's still people that start up little chapters of it that I see, but I mean, they all kind of
there's no power.
Yeah, and that's the problem with it.
Yeah.
Forgive me for lack of knowledge on politics, but isn't it like a money game too?
Yeah.
So like, wouldn't they be able to keep up financially with the Democrats and Republicans?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the local elections come into play, right? Because let's say, for example, let's just use Caution City, home city as an example of Compton, California. Let's say you had a new Black Panther Party or a new movement party, whatever you want to name it, right? And it began to gain momentum and prominence within that community, and the people gave their votes to that candidate. Well, then they would now elect that candidate to that party, and he would be elected official within that community. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So then he would work with business leaders, he would work with schools, school leaders, what's the word, what I'm looking for in my, not principals, but the, goodness grief, superintendent. Bam.
He was sitting waiting on that one.
Absolutely. The superintendent. You see, teamwork makes the dream work.
Was you just waiting on that, Jim?
I was waiting. I was like, man, they're running through a lot of us. We gotta get this.
Like principal, chancellor, superintendent.
Janitor, there you go.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hall monitor.
Yeah, hall monitor,
Yeah, okay. Appreciate that.
The superintendent, right? You know what I'm saying? So, but that elected official works with all those people within those prominent positions to help the community, because he's the community representative.
Yeah.
So So that's how it would have to happen at the local level. And if you get enough of those individuals in local black communities, then you could make some movement. And yes, you would actually need to have a economic power base.
The capital behind you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, you're 100% right. But the reason why I wanted to bring attention to these things, it seems that in America it has now become a crime to simply question the current system.
Right.
Whether you are critiquing Democrats or critiquing Republicans, it doesn't seem to be acceptable to challenge the two-party system in any way.
Yeah.
You are either for it or you're against it. But what happened to critical thinking? What happened to challenging the status quo? Is it wrong to consider other options than what CNN and Fox News feed us? If I'm black and I don't like Democrats, does that mean that I love Republicans? Can I not have an equal disdain for both? When we as a society lose the ability to question those in power and we dare not consider the possibility of building something new, then we have lost the ability to think freely. And we become pawns in the political chess match of those we entrust to govern us. I'll end with a quote from the late Huey P. Newton that says, "I dissuade party members," he's talking about the Black Party, Panther Party members, "from putting down people who do not understand. Even people who are unenlightened and seemingly bourgeois should be answered in a polite way. Things should be explained to them as fully as possible. I was turned off by a person who did not want to talk to me because I was not important enough. Maurice just wanted to preach to the converted who already agreed with him. I try to be cordial because that way you win people over. You cannot win them over by drawing the line of demarcation, saying you are on this side and I am on the other. That shows a lack of consciousness." Huey P. Newton.
Speak on it.
I'm like hearing that brother speak on it.
Yes, sir.
And I think it does speak to like I talked about last week, like a lack of knowledge about the entire process and what goes into it, and really looking at the things that matter. A lot of times we worry about like I said, the presidential race and this party, that party, but you can make a difference in your community by looking at your local candidates, who runs your city, the things that directly affect you. Your school districts, look into who's handling your children, those type of things. So I think that's major. Get the information, process it in a way that it works and you get an understanding of it. Help out those that may be lacking the knowledge. We can only help each other regardless of who you are. So I definitely feel that was real powerful. So shout out to him for that.
Yes,
So to lighten the mood a little bit, we always got to transition into the light because we always get it. That wasn't as heavy as we normally are. So, we gave y'all a breather. We talked about something kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So y'all don't get your panties in a bunch. We had a rough week. You know what I'm saying? We started to come here on some other
boxers.
Shit.
We don't want to upset anyone who thinks we're being sexist.
There you go.
There you go.
Panties or boxers.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Great
Just
one.
keep them on. Whatever one you got on.
Don't matter.
Keep
Just
them
keep them going.
So we can get into the art and life section. Man, today I got it I'm pretty fond of as far as his art and his craft. Somebody who goes by a full-blown creative, not just an artist, not just a photographer, not just a graphic designer. Photographer is my guy Clinton Williams, aka Necessary, straight out of Dallas, Texas, my boy.
Yes, sir. Jelly Johnson.
Yeah, man, shout out to Jelly.
Yes, sir.
Born in Dallas, Texas, started embracing the hip-hop culture at the tender age of 9. He's influenced by artists such as Nas, Method Man, Jay-Z, Wu-Tang. At the age of 15, he began writing and taking music more serious. After years of establishing a formidable reputation on the Dallas-Fort Worth hip-hop scene as a sharp, quick-witted battle rapper, which a lot of people didn't know that about him. And I found out about that through a acquaintance of ours, Rod T. They had a little battle back in the day they used to talk about. He released his debut solo album entitled As Promised, which gained him solid credibility as an artist. Immediately following that release, he spent time honing his second talent, production, by providing blazing hot production for his peers on the local hip-hop scene. Bless your boy with a few. Shout out to you for that, my guy.
Yes, sir.
With years of hard work, this rapper, producer, songwriter molded himself into one of the premier up-and-coming artists. So if you didn't know anything about him, he was an artist first. I know we here to talk about a different form of art, but I just wanted to give you all a brief background on him. his next, and just to kind of mention a few people he's worked with, top tier producers from October 1st to S1 from Dallas and countless others, becoming a great producer himself. Released several mixtapes, the Jelly Johnson series, like you just spoke of, one of my favorite series, volumes 1 through 4. Shout out to him for that, because that's how I got up on him. Great Goose, the Hustle Man Project. He's actually had recordings with Proof, rest in peace to Proof from D12. Had a collaborative effort with Coogee Rap. As well, and then he released the last project he had was the Righteous EP, which I am featured on. Shameless plug there as well. So shout out to my guy.
Yes, sir.
But you know, his next phase of his creative journey is even more impressive. Just as a freelance photographer, whose photos are really a reflection of his interests, which you'll see if you go to his Insta: cars, women, architecture, even dabbling in engagement photography. I saw in there. So he's pretty much a master of graphic effects as well. I've went to him for countless things. I've referred countless people. He created our logo.
Yes, he did. Shout out to Ness for the AllOva
like
radio.
We don't just talk it, we live it. You know what I mean? So if you look at the artistic scene here in Dallas alone, you'll see his imprint. Everybody works with him. You can find him at NFAC. It's spelled KNSCRY. That's his primary Insta. His website is www.KNSCRY.com. And then you can also find his graphics page at KNSCRYGFX. So he's keeping the branding right now. And then he also has another creative musical series titled Gram Jams, which he describes it as dope tunes and visual arts made for the gram. They're 60-second Instagram videos where he collaborates with various producers on a weekly basis. He also uses that platform for other artists to chime in. You know, they can do the verse or whatever. He throws the video up. He does the background, all of that, man. He does everything. So just another way of him giving back to the culture, and that's at Gram Jams, GRAMJAMS. So shout out to my guy Necessary, man. I wanted to make sure I highlight him. I had some other people in mind. I really want to keep, what I did say to myself is I want to keep a lot of this within the premise of the people I know first. So I'm like, you know, I know enough dope creatives that we can, you know, churn out about 3 or 4 of these. Easily. So,
absolutely. We do know a lot.
Yeah, so shout out to him, man, first and foremost, you know, for doing what he does. And, you know, any artwork you see from me, I can guarantee you he did it. If it's not me, it's him. So that's my boy.
Yeah, I've known him for a long time. A long time, man. And I remember when back in the Gap, this is before you moved here from Compton. You know, he was living in Irving, and and it was so funny because the first time I heard him rap, I was like, "Where are you from, man?"
Sound like Jay-Z.
Yeah. He said, "I'm from Dallas. I live in Irving." I was like, where you get that flow style from? Like, why do you sound like that? So that was one of the things. Yeah. He did not have the Dallas, you know, especially at that time, early 2000s. He didn't have that Dallas kind of swagger, you know, that was really a lot of, you know, sprinkle Houston kind of flow to it that everybody else was kind of trying to vibe to at that period of time. And I think he also used to battle at Caribbean Grill, the freestyle fight nights on Mondays. If I don't,
so.
You know, I feel like I'm getting old now. Like some of the timeline, it's like because I've known so many people so long. You know what I'm saying? And I've known Ness for a long time. He's always been a good, down to earth dude, man.
Shout out to my guy. That was like the first, like when I first got here, that was the first rapper that anybody put me on to. Like one of the homies, shout out to my guy Rashid. He put me on the Ness early. They went to high school together, and so he was like, "Man, the homies recorded at the studio in Irving. You need to come out." And so you know, I started going to Next Level. What's it called? DJ Elements. So I started going up there. The first time I met Necessary, no lie, first time I met him, I threw the beat on that we was finna rap to, and he got in the studio and did a verse on the spot. This is my first time meeting this dude. So, you know, he's always been a real humble dude. We shot a video for Ness. Shout out to Ness and Suave that day. We traveling around Dallas shooting a video for him. So, yeah, man, he's definitely somebody whose work I respect. And if you don't know anything about him, get to know him, man. He can look out for you on the graphics. Whatever you got for him, he can get done. So, shout out to my guy.
Just holler at him.
Absolutely. You know, spend money with that brother if you have graphic needs, of course. You know, you'll see all of his handles and where you can contact him at the bottom. So, you know, peep those and go to Visit Necessary. We also want to talk about our playlist, though. And just to let y'all know, you know, this is going to be one of many playlists. You know, we had a very good family meeting and discussion
It's all over.
about our last playlist. You know what I'm saying? My brother, my B. Clark, he got a little upset at me.
We are transparent. We are not scared of y'all. I told y'all at the beginning of the show.
He got a little upset at me, and this particular playlist was curated for Texas to Cali. We are going to have other playlists that are like regional specific playlists. We'll be rolling out right now. We are promoting this one, but we're going to continue to plug creatives in the independent lane. So this is the first playlist. It's AllOva Media on Spotify. You see it at the bottom of the screen. It's AllOva Media on Spotify. And the first playlist that we have that we'll be promoting this month is the Texas to Cali Volume 1 playlist. So make sure you go jam that in your whip.
Right. Yes, sir. Shout out to that. It's all over.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mr. Caution 700, for plugging Necessary, Jelly Johnson.
Yes, sir.
But let's chop it up about some of the good things that are going on in the community.
You need to get up, get out, and get something. How will you make it if you never even try? You need to get up, get out, and
I be
get
wanting this to play all the way through.
I know.
Good emote.
I was thinking the same thing.
Those
Man,
are
that
great
song,
choices for those are great choices. I'm gonna tell you.
Man,
that.
it never gets old, man.
Right.
It never gets old. But that's right, people. Get up, get out, and get something. But in order to get up and get something, you've got to have options.
Right.
For most young black males who reside in inner city communities across the United States, a viable path to success is seemingly non-existent. The primary option to find a sense of significance and purpose almost always ends up in gang affiliation of some sort.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
But what happens to these young men when they come of age? Well, more often than not, they end up either dead or incarcerated and become so institutionalized that prison becomes more familiar to them than the free world. In Los Angeles, the home of some of the world's most notorious gangs, one individual has made the decision to give young men in his community different options. Today, we want to bring attention to the nonprofit organization Developing Options, founded by Eugene Big U Henley. Big U is known for being active in one of LA's most notorious Crip sets, the West Side neighborhood Rolling 60s. Big U founded Developing Options in 2004. The goal of the Developing Options program is to decrease gang activity in the 77th grid zone. So for those that don't know LA, that is where the Crenshaw district that you will know because of NIP, but there's more than just the 60s that live there. You got the V&Gs and a lot of other sets that are in that district, in that zone, should I say. But they want to empower the community to strive for a safer, thriving environment for our youth. Developing Options believes in laying the groundwork and providing the conditions that inspire and create viable options for people by enabling connections to be made between communities, fostering alliances with local advocates, and developing programs that harness the power and skills community members need to affect change in their own lives. Developing Options has been around for quite some time now. Those that are in LA listening, y'all already know a whole lot about Big U. He is mentioned in so many rap records, to even back in the day, from Corrupt. You know, if you in LA, the Weekend Freakin' record was everyone's jam. Yeah, and at the end it says, you know, shout out. He says like Big U, we love you too, right? Yeah. So Big U has been around for a long time. Obviously, very notorious in the '90s, and especially at the height of gang activity. He was very reputable in that area for, you know, probably he would tell you for all the wrong things. But since doing time and coming back to the community, this brother has done so much, man, to help young black males not go down the same paths. And he does a great job of reconciliation too. But Developing Options, man, I wanted to highlight them because I think that it's important. They focus on education, community support, community events, and youth athletics. In fact, they've got partnerships with even like Snoop Dogg's football league. They've been responsible for getting a lot of young men scholarships, and they also help to get those that are coming out of prison on long stints. They help them get them reacclimated and kind of because they've been away for so long. And so Big U does this with Developing Options, man. And you know, both of us are from Cali, and you know, Caution, you know, you have a lot, I think, of experience just growing up in Compton, graduating from Compton High School, you know, with just the understanding of kind of how important it is to kind of have intervention and have brothers that have experience that were active come back and not, denounce affiliation in that sense, but to be able to kind of be almost like the peacemaker between the community and reach out to everyone in that community to help them have a new chapter in their lives. So
it's needed, man. It's definitely needed, especially. I mean, it hits home for me because even right before I moved to Texas, like my mother moved to. We was living off 92nd in Vermont, in LA. Yeah. We lived off 105th in Normandy. So, in that time of my life, I didn't have any activities to get into, and I wasn't really even from LA. I was, I grew up in Compton. So, had I known about something like this going on, or I don't know how far back this goes, but this is definitely something I was looking into because, I didn't have any outlets there. After a certain point, school becomes kind of, an afterthought, and you looking towards that next phase in your life as a young man. And like you said, there aren't many options for any inner city youth. So you're looking for something to kind of grasp a hold to. I know a lot of times we choose sports and things like that, or the arts if it's possible, but those things take money, they take capital, they take time for your parents. So if you had a place to go or somebody to talk to or somebody that can kind of usher you in the right direction, and, we had that, but it wasn't anything like this when I was growing up. So shout out to him for this. This is huge. And I know he's well respected. I saw Nipsey win an award with him and all of that for his participation in the program and things like that. So, I know about the past things that I've heard about Big U, and it's good to see that he's made a way to show a difference as far as perspective goes, and people being able to see you for who you really are. And I think, if you go to this website, developingoptions.org, you'll see that it's a multitude of things on here. He's doing so many things in the community, raising funds for different people for different causes. There's multiple celebrities here. I'm looking at Ty Gurley, T.I., Chris Brown, Snoop. So he's getting there. That's what engages the youth. If they can see people that they look up to, that they idolize, come out and reach out and touch them and let them know that there's somebody there for them, that's a big deal. So shout out to him for that. I think this is important, and whatever way that you can support, he has it on here where you can donate. There's a big yellow button in the top right corner. So if you're looking for a way to donate to a cause, this is one that I definitely would vouch for. So shout out to him.
Absolutely. And what's interesting, man, is that I think that LA gang culture where it rose in the 60s was in a vacuum of leadership within the black community, right? So I don't think people understand that it's not like Crips and Lokes and the Damus, like they were adults. These were teenagers. Okay, these were teenagers in the 50s and 60s, okay? And Martin killed, Malcolm's killed, Black Panther Party destroyed, and you have this vacuum. You have the black family is being broken up, especially in Los Angeles. If you know anything about how the migration, kind of patterns of the people there, places like Compton and Watts, and Kosh can speak to this, they have Compton Cowboys. There's farms. The Bushes had land in Compton. There was an airport. Okay, Compton, Inglewood, Watts, these were all white neighborhoods. And when black people began, middle class, not hoodlums, middle class black people moved to these areas, okay, there was the Great White Flight, and that's where even terms like heading to the hills, because they all moved out of there. They did, right? And it wasn't like there were thugs moving. So what you had is whereas in a white family, you were able to have the mother who was able to not work while the father worked and take care of the kids. Well, in a black family, in order for those families to be middle class, both parents had to work. So typically, the women worked in the homes as maids and housekeepers in the white homes. Well, when all of the white people flocked to the hills, the proximity and being able to travel and being bused, it caused an issue. So now what you have is father away, you have mother away from the home, and you've got roaming packs of teenagers. Okay, around, and all you had was, you better not get no trouble, boy. And eventually, when mama came home, you may have got whooped for standing in the corner. You know what I'm saying? But there's only so much that mom and daddy can do. Okay? And then daddy and mama are not seeing each other. The kids are now getting in trouble, and now the family is split up. So I think that we need to understand the history of these things and how they became so prominent. I think that there's going to be a movement of reconciliation between LA gangs that's going to spread. Okay, and people like Big U, he's not the only one, We'll talk about Skip Townsend even, I think, on another episode, who's on the other side, on the Damu card, that is doing some great things with his nonprofit called Second Call.
Right.
So there are a lot of these older cats now that are in their 50s and their 60s that are trying to give back to the community, and it's much needed, man, because it's fruitless. It's not helping us. The cultural identification of it, you know, obviously we all talk about, you know, having people within our circle and having affiliations and those kinds of things, and it's more so cultural affinity, right? It's the camaraderie that we gravitate towards, not the violence aspect. We don't want to kill other black men. We do like to squab. We like to see who got hands.
Yeah, we can fight all day, yeah.
But in those days, they had gyms that they fought in.
Right.
Big U, the
Put
reason
them
why he
gloves
was
on.
the reason why he was so about that muscle is that he'll tell you that his family knew karate.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of, you know, of martial arts gyms in LA during that time period.
Right.
You know, so the physical prowess is common among warriors.
Yeah.
And every ethnic group has a warrior class that like to battle in that way. So, but let's find more appropriate ways to do that, right? And so I love the fact that Big U is doing this, man. So if you want to get that information, again, like my brother Mr. 700 said, you can go to developingoptions.org. You can check out what they're doing, donate, get involved. And yeah, man, absolutely.
Get back to the youth.
Well, gentlemen, we chopped through this one, you know, pretty quick, man. We hit a lot of good points, a lot of good topics. Do we have any last things that we want to address?
All Over Radio Sunday, 7 p.m. Sometimes 7:30.
No, the All Over Sports Show.
Shameless sports show. I'm sorry,
Shameless plug.
I got too much going on.
Yeah. Shameless plug. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's these two cats right here that do the sports show. So if you into sports, that's a live show. You can tune into All Over Sports.
Man, y'all come on to get some engagement in that. It's a little different setup, but you know, if you just want to see more of us, you know.
Yeah, you know, if
you don't get the exclusivity of having Loudmouth sit in with us, but you know, we be talking. You know what I'm saying?
They be talking too. You know, and if you just want to binge sports talk radio from two, you know what I'm saying, good looking, intelligent brothers, then, you know, tune in. Now, of course, women tune in, you know, but if you want to just chop it up about sports, brothers, you know what I'm saying, you know where to go on Sunday. What time is it on Sunday?
It's usually about 7:30.
7-ish.
Yeah,
7-ish.
Get in this
CPT.
when we get in here and get set up, you know what I'm saying? We're about 7 p.m.
All right. So check out the All Over Sports Show so y'all can get into that. You know, but I think that we wrapped up for today.
Man, I think that's it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
Yes, Birdman. Thank you.
done.
We are done. We want to remind y'all, though, to watch, listen, subscribe, and follow us everywhere and all over. That's
Share
right.
some shit.
Watch, listen, subscribe, and follow us and engage. Join the conversation. We on Facebook. We on Twitter. We on IG. At It's All Over Radio. That's right. It's All Over Radio. Facebook, Twitter, IG.
One more time.
Facebook, Twitter, IG. It's All Over Radio. On YouTube and Spotify. It's All Over Media. This All Over Radio. Peace.